Hey guys, this is lesson 3.4 and we are multiplying decimals times decimal numbers. So I'm going to go over example 1 with you and I'm going to go over the traditional and the lattice way. So you watch however you do it. I'll show you both. So in the traditional way, for 3.6 times 0.05, I actually just multiply 36 times 5 to get my digits. So 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18, and I get 180. Now, I'm going to go back and get the decimals in a second, but let me show you lattice. So lattice, I'm going to do a 2 by 2. So I'll draw that real quick, and I'll show you why I'm doing a 2 by 2 instead of a 3 by 2. So I don't do one for this leading 0, but you do need one for any decimal zeros. So I have 3.6 times 0, or 0.05. Notice where the decimals go. And then I'm going to do a little multiplication here. So 0 times 6 is 0. 0 times 3 is 0. 5 times 6 is 30. And 5 times 3 is 15. And when I get my digits, I'm going to add those up. I get 0, 8, 1, and 0, which I may or may not need. All right, so notice I have the same digits, 180, 180. But now watch the different ways to get your decimal point. So I'm going to start in the traditional one. So you count the decimal digits. There are 2 in this number. See them there, the 0 and the 5. There's 2 decimal digits and 1 in this number. So together that's 3. So your answer needs to have 3 decimal digits. 1, 2, 3. So your answer is going to be 0.180. Now in the lattice, you could do that too. You can count the 3 decimal digits, but I like the lattice way of finding decimals better. I think it's kind of fun to do. So in the lattice way, what I'm going to do is, remember, this decimal here on top can only go down. This decimal here can only go over, and they meet right there. And then they take the diagonal row down, and I get 180 thousandths, the same exact thing. So that's how you multiply a decimal times a decimal both ways. So now we're going to talk about trying it. So we're going to go down, and I'm going to have you do, let's see, why don't we do A, B, and C? Now, when I go over it, I'm going to go over A both ways. But I'm going to go over B. I'll do B lattice. And I'll do C traditional. Now, you do it however you are more comfortable with. Maybe you want to mix it up. Maybe you like both. I don't care. But remember, A, I'm going to go over both ways. B, lattice. C, I'll go over traditional. Okay, pause the video. Do these 3 problems. Now, if you have trouble after the first one, you can always start the video and check. But otherwise, do all 3, then watch the video. Go. All right, well, let's see how you did. So I'm going to start with A. So notice for the traditional, I just wrote 57 times 28. So I'm going to solve that first. So 8 times 7 is 56. Carry the 5. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 5 is 45. Fill in my 0. 2 times 7 is 14. Carry the 1. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Add them up. I get 6, 9, 5, 1. Now remember, there are 2 decimal digits, the 0.7 and the 0.8. So my answer needs to have 2 decimal digits, so I have 15.96. All right, for the lattice people, I have the lattice mostly set up. So let me finish it with the diagonal lines, and let me start by multiplying. So I'm going to multiply. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 5 is 10. 8 times 7 is 56. And 8 times 5 is 40. And I'm going to add those up. So I get 6, 9, 5, 1. Now remember how the lattice finds a decimal. This one can only go down. This one can only go over. Takes the diagonal row down, and I get 15.96. So that's your answer to that one. Now we're going to go over to B and C. Now remember, B, I said I'm only doing lattice. C, I'm only going to do traditional. So you only have, you're going to have to watch both at least to see the answer. But you don't have to watch me do each one. Watch the one that matches what you do. All right, so I have the lattice ready in B. Let's see how you did. So 0, I'm going to start by multiplying the 0 through. 0 times everything is 0, so that's kind of quick. And 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20. Going to add those up. I get 0, 6, 0, 2. Now remember, lattice, how we get our decimal. This one can only go down. It can only go down there, and this one can only go over. So this is where they meet. And then they take the diagonal row down. Guess I could have added that 0 there. And I get 0.2060. So that's my answer there. Now, traditional for C, notice I just wrote 14 times 37. So that's all I'm going to multiply. 7 times 4 is 28. Carry the 2. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 2 is 9. Fill in my 0. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Add. I get 518. Now, remember, traditional people, we have to be able to count our decimal digits. So when I count here, I see there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So my answer is going to need 4 digits. I have 1, 2, 3. Don't forget to add a 0 here. Now I have 4. So my answer is 0.518, or 518 ten-thousandths. All right, so that's B and C. And now it's time to go on to the next page. So we are going to go down, and instead of going over the examples, we're going to do D together. And then I'm going to have you do E and F. So let's start with D. Now take a look at D, and I'll start by doing it the traditional way, and then I'll do it the lattice way. So you pay attention to what works best for you, or watch both. Maybe you'll like the other way better for this. So traditional people, I actually think it's a little easier for traditional for this one, if you're good at it. So remember, I'm just going to do 32 times 4. I pretend there's no decimals. That's an easy multiplication problem. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. Okay? But now, I count my decimal digits. There's 2 here and 2 here, which is 4 total. So I need to add a 0 so I can have 4 decimal digits in my product. So it's 0.0128. Now, traditional people, watch what I do. So remember, I don't do a lattice for that whole number 0, because that I can, but it's just going to make it harder. So I'm just going to do a simple 2 by 2. Okay. So although lattice takes a little longer when in this problem, you don't have to worry about adding those zeros because the lattice will take care of it for you. So now I'm going to fill those in. So I have 3 times 2 is 12, and 3 times 0 is 0. 2 times 4 is 8, and 2 times 0 is 0. And then I'm going to add 8, 2, 1, 0. Now my decimals, this one only goes down, this one only goes over. They meet there and take that diagonal row down. You have 0.0128. Same thing. All right, so now you are going to do E and F. So when I go over it, I'm going to go over F in the traditional way, and I'm going to go over E in the lattice way. Okay, you have to do both of them however you want to do them, but that's how I'm going to go over them. Okay, go ahead. All right, so let's see how you did here, guys. So first one, lattice, I did a 3 by 6. Remember, I don't do a lattice for those whole number zeros. So let me multiply. So 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 2 is 4. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 0 is 0. And 6 times 2 is 12. Check your boxes to make sure you have your multiplication right. Now I'm going to add 0, 3, 3, 5, 0. Now I'm going to make my decimals meet. This one goes over and meets this one right here. Take the diagonal row down. I should have 0.053330. Okay. Now, for F, it's the traditional way. Now, notice how I wrote it. I just pretended it was 133 times 6. So I'm going to get my digits. And 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 3 is 18 plus 1 is 19. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. Now I'm going to count my decimal digits. I see there's 2 in this number. There's 2 in this number. I need to add a 0 so I can get 4 total decimal digits. Remember, altogether there's 4 up here, so you need 4 in your product. All right, so that's it for E and F. On to the next page. Now, on page 5, we're going to read it, and then we'll solve it together. So here's what it says. A certain car can travel 28.45 miles with 1 gallon of gas. The gasoline tank can hold 11.5 gallons. How many miles can this car travel on a full tank of gas? Justify your answer. So I'm not going to justify my answer for this one. We're just going to do the multiplication. Okay, so I'm going to do lattice and traditional. So let me pause it and get those set up. Okay, so I'm going to do it both ways. Now, each way has a negative. The negative of the lattice is it's a pain to draw it, but it takes about a minute, but once it gets drawn, people can get this one right. The negative for the traditional one is almost no one gets big traditional problems right when they're 3 by 4 digit problems. They always mess up something lining up, so it depends on how you do it though. So watch the traditional. I'm going to start by multiplying this 5 through. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22. 5 times 8 is 40, plus 2 is 42. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14. Now I'm done. I'm going to erase these up here to try not to get, I forgot I had that covered up with white, to try to not get too confused here. So let me fix that. All right, so now I'm going to multiply the 1 all the way through. Don't forget to fill in a 0 before you start. And 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 8 is 8, and 1 times 2 is 2. Now, before I do the third one, I have to fill in 2 zeros, which people almost always forget. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 8 is 8, and 1 times 2 is 2. Now you have to add that and make sure everything's lined up. So I have 5, 7, 11, 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 3. They're my digits. Last, I've got to count decimal digits. So I'm going to go up to the problem. Remember, it was 28.45, so I've got 2 there, and 11.5, I've got 1 there. That's a total of 3. So my answer needs to have 3 decimal digits. So as far as my answer, it's going to be 327.175 miles. Now, lattice, I think you have more of a shot of getting it right because the lattice keeps everything organized. So I'm going to multiply all the way through here. So the 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 8 is 8, and 1 times 2 is 2. The next one, same thing. 5, 4, 8, 2, and last the 5. 5 times 5 is 25, 5 times 4 is 20, 5 times 8 is 40, and 5 times 2 is 10. Now you have to be careful with your addition. So I have 5, 7, 5, 9, 10, 11, right? The 1 carry the 1. 4, 5, plus 8 is 13, plus 4 is 17, carry the 1. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? The 2 carry the 1, get 3, and I might not need that 0. Notice I get the same digits as before, 327.175. Now remember how we do the decimal. This one goes down, this one goes over, and they meet here. Take the diagonal road down, I have 327.175 miles. All right, so that's it for the video. If you were absent, I know you're going to be doing some of those guided practice problems below. Be careful in this lesson, guys. You can mess up if you're not too careful. But other than that, ask me if you need help. Thanks for watching.